Hi, and welcome to Crafts with Ash. My name's Ashley, and today I am super excited to bring you 6 really fun and easy outdoor DIYs and hacks that you can do for summer. I think the best part is that they are all so budget friendly that they barely cost anything. But before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Then hop on over to Facebook and Instagram and give me a like and follow there so you can join my crafting community. All right, let's get started with these DIYs and outdoor hacks. For this first DIY, I thought it would be kind of fun to create a towel holder to hang outside for my daughter to hang all of her little beach towels by our little pool. So to do this, I grabbed a leftover sign from Easter and I took off the ribbon, flipped it over, sanded it just a little bit, and then I painted the entire thing with some Waverly white chalk paint. After that was dry, I took this ruler that I got from the Dollar Tree and I stuck it right in the middle of my sign, and then by using a black Sharpie, I drew some lines going down so it looked like shiplap. Now I'm not sure where my head was at, but you're going to see these lines are not straight at all. But that's okay, I guess it just adds to the little fun of summer. Then I went ahead and sanded it down so it all blended in, and I also ran over it with the white chalk paint that was on my brush and just dry brushed over the lines so they weren't so bold. After that, I took some orange paint and I dry brushed over the whiteboard with a chippy brush just to give it a little pop of color. Now, you're going to see in all of these DIYs that I am going to be using bright and fun colors because when I think of summer, that's what I think of. Plus, a lot of these DIYs are going to be revolving around my daughter, so, you know, I wanted it to be really fun for her. So after I went over it with the orange, I went over it one more time with the white. That way, it would all blend in. After that was dry, I took this pack of coasters that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I thought these were so adorable to use to make a sign. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, they did come in a set of 4, so by using some super glue and some hot glue, I went ahead and glued them on. The reason I'm using super glue is because this is going to be outside and the sun would melt the hot glue. So you're going to want to use some E6000 or some kind of stronger glue to hold it down. So I just went ahead and glued each one of my little sandals down on my board. After that, I put that aside and I grabbed some painter's tape and I flipped it so the sticky side was up, and then I turned the corners down so that way I had something to hold these command hooks. Now, I thought this idea was genius. I saw it on White Sparrow Living's page and it is so perfect to hold these little things down so that way you don't get paint all over your fingers. But all I did was paint each one of these in a really bright color. So I did bright pink, some lime green, a bright blue, and of course I did yellow. Basically, I just used the colors that I saw on the sandals. Once those were dry, I put one hook on each sandal. Then again, by using my super glue and my hot glue, I'm going to glue each one of them down. I just want to take a moment to welcome you to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you stick around with me for a while by subscribing to my channel. And I hope you really love what you see, and if you do, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you're returning, thank you so much for all of your support. I truly have enjoyed sharing all of these ideas and DIYs with all of you. And we're almost coming up on a year of my channel, and it has grown so much, and I truly appreciate and love reading your comments and just enjoy sharing with all of this with all of you. Thank you so much. After all of my hooks were glued on, I went ahead and took some Mod Podge and I Mod Podged over all of them plus my sign. Now, you're going to want to do this on all of these outdoor projects in this video because the sun will fade the paint and you want to protect all of your DIYs from all of the elements of outdoors. After that, I dry brushed the corners and the edges with that orange paint just to add a little bit more color. Next, I took the back of a paintbrush and now I'm just adding some fun details to each one of these sandals. So in some of them I put polka dots and I would switch up the colors. I just felt like I wanted to add a little bit more dimension and a little pop of fun to each one of these sandals. After that, I found some really cute buttons in my stash, and again, by using the hot glue and the super glue, I glued a button into each one of the flowers. Then I will go back and add polka dots to the pink sandal and the green sandal. I truly love how this towel holder came out. I thought that it was perfect on our back deck. Now, my mom did not want to add any holes to the siding or her house to hang this, so what I ended up doing was I used my crocodile, which is a big hole punch basically, and I punched 2 or 3 really big holes at the top of the sign, and then I used zip ties to zip tie it on to the railing of the deck, which you'll see in the pictures coming up. So this worked out perfectly. I really loved how this turned out, and it is just so fun and adds a really great summer touch to the summer deck. But tell me, what do you think? I have a little hack for you. This isn't really a DIY, but as you can see, I have a bunch of s'mores stuff because we have a little fire pit outside. So I picked up this little container from the Dollar Tree, and this is what I use to keep everything in, so that way it's contained and it's easy just to take outside. So I usually put some plates and napkins in this big space back there, along with the so I knock everything over, along with the little poker things, the skewers, and then I put my graham crackers right in this front one, and then I also stick my chocolates in here, and then I put my little marshmallows on top, and it's really easy for me to take outside over to our fire pit. So super easy. Obviously my fire pit's not open right now, but when we do light it, then it's all right there. So this is just a little simple hack, not really a DIY, but it was fun to put together and made it so much easier to carry everything out. Now it's time for s'more DIYs. So something that I always have out at family gatherings or outdoor parties is a bucket where I provide some sunscreen and some bug spray. So I thought I would dress one up. So this is a super simple DIY or hack that you can do. So all I did was I took a little canvas board that I got from the Dollar Tree, and by using these stickers, I'm spelling out, now at first I put bugs and bites, but I realized it was supposed to be burns and bites. So I'm just spelling that out, and then once I have them all positioned how I like, I'm going to paint over this with my Pink Parfait Apple Barrel paint. So after all my paint was dry, I just peeled up all of the letters. And now there was some bleeding, so I did have to go in with my white paint pen and paint on inside of it and just kind of clean up the letters a little bit. Then to add a little bit more detail, I used my white paint marker to make stitching lines around the perimeter of my sign. Then for one last final touch, I took these puffy letters, and typically I paint over them, but because I want this sign to be colorful, I just left them as is, and by using hot glue and super glue, I glued one of these little dots in each corner. After that, I took this bucket that I bought at the Dollar Tree, and again, by using my hot glue and super glue, I glued it to the front. And it was as simple as that. It is perfect for displaying all of the sunscreen and bug spray for all of my guests, or just for us, for my family out in the back deck or outside, and it's easy to access as well. I love how this came out, but what do you think? Okay, here's another little outdoor hack, and sorry, someone's mowing the lawn, I apologize, but our two little doggies love to play with toys outside, but my mom really hated that all the toys were just everywhere after, obviously they don't put them away when they're done, and honestly, the black dog right there, my mom's dog, likes to play with water bottles, empty water bottles, so it looked like trash all over the yard because after we were done drinking a bottle of water, we would just throw it to him, and he loves to play with it. So my mom, all the credit goes to her, she got an old pot and then she hid it right in the mulch, and there's all the toys and of course his empty water bottles, and they're hidden behind all of these plants and no one would ever know. So that way it helps keep all the toys contained and it doesn't look like trash and junk all over the yard. So there's just a fun little dog hack for you. So hopefully this can come in handy in your front yard too. Okay, so by the pool, of course, there are a ton of pool toys. So I decided to make a basket where we could contain all the toys. So I grabbed this sign that is currently in Dollar Trees, and I flipped it over, took out the hanger, and then I sanded it down just a little bit to make it a little smoother to paint. So I got this bright idea to dry brush a bunch of bright colors over this board. And while it was great in theory, what ended up happening, of course, if you mix a bunch of colors, it comes out looking like brown. So I really did not like how that looked. So to fix this, well, I thought it would be better to add more bright colors on top of that, but I'm really not loving it. So to fix this, I just decided to continue doing all the colors, but then I dry brushed over white to tone it down and to make it look less like brown and more bright and colorful. Once that paint was dry, I took these letters that I also got from the Dollar Tree and simply spelled out pool toys. Now, because the O's were yellow, I have a thing where I cannot put two of the same color sticker next to each other. So what I did was I used some Q's and cut off the little line at the bottom to make it look like an O. That way I could switch it up just a little bit. So after that, I just made sure that they were all pressed down and positioned how I liked. And then I took my black paint marker and I made some stitching lines around the perimeter. That way it added a little bit more detail. Then to protect this entire sign, I gave it a coat of Mod Podge. Then to give it that final touch, I took those puffy stickers again and I super glue, hot glued one to each end of my sign. Now the basket that I used was actually a laundry basket that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and I just used string to put through those holes and then tie it to the basket. And it was so easy, and I love how they keep all of my daughter's toys contained and looks a little cleaner outside. But what do you think? For my last DIY, I'm going to make a sign to hang out on the deck. So I'm going to use this unfinished wood cabinet door that I actually picked up at a local store, and they were selling these for 2 for 99 cents. And if you are a crafter, you know how amazing that is. So the first thing I did was take some regular black acrylic paint and I painted the inside of this cupboard. After it was dry, I took some letters from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to spell out "Welcome to R." After they were positioned how I liked, I took my pink Parfait apple barrel paint and I painted over the entire middle section of my cupboard, and I gave it 2 coats. After my pink paint was dry, I used my little knife to peel up all of the letters. Now again, there was a little bit of bleeding, so I just took my black paint pen and I went in all of the letters and just cleaned them up. This is your friendly reminder that if you're loving what you're seeing today, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Not only does it really help my channel to grow, but it also tells YouTube that you love seeing my content and that you want to see more. So YouTube will put more of my videos in your homepage. So don't forget to hit that like button. Next, I took these 3-inch stencil letters that I got from Amazon, and I will have the link in the description box below. I love these. I use these a lot. They are just so easy to use, and I feel like they are really good quality, but I just spelled out deck. I made sure to line them all up, and then I used painter's tape to tape them down, that way they didn't move. Then I went in with some black acrylic paint and my makeup sponge and I just stenciled the letters on. After my letters were dry, I peeled off the painter's tape and took off the stencils. And as you can see, these actually work pretty well. But again, I just went in with my black paint marker and just traced around the letters just to clean them up a little bit. But for the most part, I really love how these turned out. After that, I took more painter's tape and I taped around the edges of the middle section of my cabinet. So there is kind of like an indent there because I'm going to paint that a different color and I don't want that color to get on my pink paint. After it was all taped off, I took some of my lime green apple barrel paint and I painted around the inside of my cabinet. Once that was dry, I took more tape and I covered the green paint on my cabinet because now I'm going to paint the outside of my sign, and of course I don't want that paint to get on the green paint. So I taped it up so it would protect it. Next, I took some white chalk paint from Waverly and I painted around the perimeter and the sides of my sign. Then once my white paint was dry, I went in with my yellow paint from Apple Barrel and painted around that with 2 coats. After that was dry, I peeled off all of my tape, revealing all of these bright and fun colors. Now, I did go in and make some touch-ups with a smaller paintbrush, but I thought that these colors really looked great together and it was really fun to make. Next, I set that aside and I took these little wooden sandals that I got from the Dollar Tree, and by using my knife, I am just kind of scoring it in the middle. That way I can bend it and it'll snap, because I want these to be 2 separate sandals. Once I got them apart, I did sand down the edges, that way they weren't so rough, but also to kind of give them that rounded shape. Next, I gave each one of my flip-flops a good coat of Waverly chalk paint in white. After my white paint was dry, I went in with this really pretty turquoise or teal blue paint. And because my brush had a little bit of the white chalk paint on it, it actually blended the 2 colors together, and I really love the blue that it ended up making. After those were dry, I took some purple and white twine that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I cut off a long piece and then folded it in half. Then I tied a knot in the middle of the string. Actually, I double knotted it, and then I tied a knot on either end. Next, I cut the string where it was looped, and then again by using my super glue and hot glue, I glued my string down and I put the middle knot up at the top, and then I put 1 knot on either side to make it look like the straps of a sandal. Now I did not pull the twine tight so it laid flat. I kind of glued them upward a little bit so they bumped up, if that makes any sense. And then I just repeated this step on my other sandal. Finally, I took the sandals and I glued 1 to the top left corner and 1 to the bottom right corner. And I apologize, I'm out of frame for this, but this cabinet was huge. I could not fit this whole thing in my frame. But I love how vibrant and colorful this sign came out. My mom loves it too. My dad did end up drilling or nailing in a sawtooth hanger on the back, because there was already a nail in my mom's house, and then we just hung it on the back deck and it was perfect. But what do you think? I really love how all of these DIYs came out. They were all super simple and very cost effective, but I think that it added so much color and so much fun to my mom's back deck around the pool area, and it definitely gave us a great space to hang out and a fun place to be. So I hope that you love all of these DIYs and hacks. You're going to have to let me know in the comments which one was your absolute favorite. I definitely think mine was the towel holder. I just think those sandals were super cute. But I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then hit that little notification bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow. All right, well, until I see you again, I'll craft with you soon. Bye!